everyone, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So today we are going to discuss Ruby Franke, 8 passengers, the Jodi Hildebrandt situation. And now the reason I've chosen to discuss this now is because I did make a video last week when Ruby, made her plea, when she pled when she made her, where she went to court and pled guilty to 4 of the 6 charges. But you all should know about that by now. But if you don't, let me do a quick rundown. Ruby pled guilty to 4 of the 6 charges. Um, they agreed to drop 2 of the 6 charges, um, and to drop 2 of the 6 charges if she agreed to plead out and to testify against Jodi Hildebrandt. So, I mean, that's what I got out of it. So, that happened. So she pled guilty to 4 of the 6 counts, and the details of what she pled guilty to are, in my opinion, horrific. She's done things such as cut off their airways. She's admitted to kicking the children while wearing boots. Just horrific things. And she's honestly just a horrible person and has been a horrible mother since day one. I hate that she can't be charged with all the stuff we've seen on her YouTube channel. But when you think about it, those are really lesser offenses. And I know people say, if she was caught back then, they would have stopped this. But not really. Not really, because if they went after her for what we saw on the YouTube channel, it would have been a slap on the wrist, and these things would have continued. And not only that, but they would have been sneakier and more careful about it. So, in a sense, I don't want to say it as a blessing that it got as far as it did, because it's horrible, it's atrocious. But had it not gotten to the point it got, she would have got a slap on the wrist, and now she's looking at very serious circumstances. She's finally going to be held accountable, and it's a shame it had to get to this point for her to be held accountable, but this is where we're at. And also, Jodi is being taken down now, and she may have not been taken down had Ruby been, gotten a slap in the wrist before for other things she had done. You know what I'm saying? So, now people, I've noticed in the comments, people are saying, oh, she's going to get lesser charge because she's, testifying against Jodi, but she's as guilty. And I understand that, but that's not how it works, really. She's still going to, be sentenced. She's still going to do some time for this. If you've watched the video, you know that the judge says that she understands that this doesn't mean there won't be any time served. She is going to get anywhere from 1 to 15 years for the charges, for each charge. I think she is going, this is just my opinion, I think she is going to get the most minimum punishment possible. I mean, the most minimum sentence possible, because as far as I know, this is her first offense. Like, it's not her first offense by what the public has seen, but as far as being arrested and charged with something, this is her first time being charged with anything. So she's probably not looking at anything really long term. Now, as I understand it, the sentence will be, for each charge, will be done consecutively, not, oh, Jesus. I'm sorry. I was trying to fix this from falling, and it still did it. So anyway, these sentences will be served consecutively, not concurrently, which means that she will serve them one right after another. They won't be stacked. So, like, say she gets a year for each charge, that's going to be 4 years. Um, she's probably going to be eligible for parole and things like that. But, those things will reveal themselves. But since she's pleading out, she will not, more than likely, will not be able to appeal anything because she won't have anything to appeal because she has already admitted to the things she's done. And she's just, I'm really interested in hearing what she has to say about Jodi because I have a feeling it's going to get a lot darker. Um, and she may have done this to try to prevent her kids from having to testify or from testifying because they might say stuff even more. Sorry, Tina. They might say stuff even more damning than what she's going to say. Who knows? Um, but they did drop 2 of the 6 charges, so I guess serving a minimum of 4 years is better than serving a minimum of 6 years. So we'll just see what happens. And she might not get any time at all, but the way the judge was talking, seemed kind of like she's probably going to do time. So and the legal experts I've been watching all say, yeah, she's going to do some time for this. It will be atrocious if she doesn't get some time for these acts. These are very young children. They are damaged. Like you heard on the 911 call, the boy blaming himself for what happened. That is going to take some real time to you know, deal with for him. And that may be another reason why they kind of wanted to push for a plea. They don't want him to testify. He may still testify, but I would think that the prosecution doesn't want him to testify because, I mean, I think that most normal thinking people wouldn't hear a 12-year-old say something, this happened and it was my fault. They're not going to hear that and be like, oh, well, he said it was his fault. So, but someone might. It might affect the decision of the jury in some way. It only has to affect one person on the jury. So they probably, and I think in most cases, prosecution does try to prevent very young children from having to testify. Like 12 years old can be a reliable witness, but there's a lot more to it than that. It can be very traumatic for children to testify, especially against a parent. And they're looking at that parent. So, you know, there are several reasons why they accepted a plea, for one thing, and they made a deal with her. And I know a lot of people are upset about this, but even if she gets a couple years, at least it's something. I think most of us can agree a couple years isn't enough, but I hate saying this, but it is what it is. I do think that Jodi is probably going to have a harsher sentence. I don't know that Jodi will make a plea or that they will agree to a plea with her. Now that now that Ruby has agreed to testify against Jodi, they may, Jodi, Ruby, made that agreement. So kind of like what you hear in all the crime shows, the rat got that cheese. You know what I mean? So they may not accept a plea from Jodi. I don't know if that's an option. I mean, if she chooses to plead out, she might not though because she's such a whack job. She thinks she is flawless and not at fault. That's just what I get out of her. Her whole kind of attitude, like I'm right and the whole rest of the world is wrong, and you're eventually going to see things my way because I am godlike. That's the whole vibe I get from her, and I just feel like even if she could, she wouldn't plead out because she might just want to take it all the way to trial. But I think anything anything Ruby has to say is going to be very damning against Jodi. And, it is damning against Ruby too, but, and people like to bring up all the stuff from the 8 passengers videos and be like, well, what about this from this video and this from that video? None of that really matters. A good defense attorney is probably would be able to have all that stuff thrown out anyway, but that's neither here nor there because she's already pled guilty, so none of that matters anyway. And that may be another thing that they wanted to plead her out, so that information about the things that had been seen on the channel will never be seen by the jury anyway. But a good attorney would probably be able to have that thrown out anyway. But like I said, that's neither here nor there because she's already pled guilty, so that stuff doesn't matter. Now let's talk about, what is that fool's name? The husband, Kevin. Let's talk about Kevin for a minute. We've seen, I've seen a lot of comments where he's just as guilty. He's not guilty of any of this recent stuff. He wasn't part of it. He's guilty of being a bad father. He's guilty of being an absent father. He's guilty of not fighting for his children and, doing the right thing over, just instead of, he should have manned up instead of letting these two women lord over him and tell him, you got to leave. He's guilty of those things, but in and of itself, none of those things are crimes, and nobody's charged with anything from the 8 passengers videos. So any of that stuff that y'all want to reference back to, no one's getting arrested for any of that. No one's getting in trouble for any of that. So Kevin is in the clear. Kevin's not going to be arrested unless they find out some new dirt that none of us knew about. He's not going to be arrested. Any of that stuff we saw on the channel, we saw on YouTube, no one's getting arrested for that. No one's doing time for any of that. So just get that out of your head. I know it's very frustrating to have witnessed this stuff, and and I do believe that Kevin was following her lead and he was gleeful of it and everything, but I don't believe he is as guilty of the things that happened in their household while 8 passengers was going on as she is. But he was the man of the house and should have manned up. I know that is that a sexist thing to say, to man up, because I still believe in manning up. I believe in growing up. I believe in sucking it up and doing what you got to do for your family and your children. But now, will he get custody of his younger children? That remains to be seen, because there's a lot of healing that needs to take place, a lot of it. And that's where the 8 passengers material comes into play. Because whereas that cannot be used probably in a criminal case, it can be used to determine if these children should be under his care. And we'll just have to wait and see what goes on with that. And I'm sorry if this is a boring video. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to discuss it. Because for one thing, I think there's no harm in people not keeping this story alive, but I want to be a part of keeping the story alive if I can, even if I just get my regular 22 views. I want to keep it alive, because this is an extreme, but family channels are problematic, and this is probably the most problematic family channel, but family channels need to be stopped. They're hurting children. It is hurting children. There needs to be laws. There needs to be, we need to protect these kids. And I don't know the answer, but something like Coogan's Law needs to come into play. YouTube needs to crack down on family channels. There needs to be some kind of control, because these kids, a lot of them are being filmed, every waking hour of their day, and it's just, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's just not. Like, sometimes I do family vlogs, but, you know, my child is grown, so, you know, and it's up to him whether or not he wants to appear on my channel. And now he says he doesn't care. It's fine. I never filmed him before because he never wanted to be on it, but he said he's over it now, and I can film him if I want to. So, but even still, you probably won't see a lot of Marshall on my channel. And when he has kids and stuff, you're never going to see them. I might say, hey, I'm a grandma now, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon now. But anyway, that's it. I just kind of wanted to discuss it, you know. Tell me what you think. How do you feel about it? You know, the legal experts I've been watching all say, you know, she's definitely going to do some time for this. How much time? We don't know. I think if she does actual time, it's going to be the minimum. I don't think that's right, but, you know, I think that's how it is. But anyway, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas, and I'll talk to everyone later. Bye.